Hi, everyone. I'm Pastor Ken, New Ipswich Congregational Church, and welcome to my YouTube channel. We do a lot of different things on this channel, and some of you may know, or some of you may not know, that occasionally we do a series called Reading Wednesdays, where I take a book and I read it to you, and then if you like the book or you want to read the book yourself or have the book, you send me a picture or a message or a text, and I give it to you. I send the book to you. So today I'm going to be reading a book, but I can't give it to you. The author of the book gave it to me in order that I could read it to you, okay? So I'll read you the story. I hope you enjoy it, but I have to give it back to her. You're always welcome to make a comment. Let me know if you enjoyed it, and I relay that back to her and tell her how much that you enjoyed her book. But it's a book about imagination, and I hope that you enjoy reading, and I hope that you enjoy using your imagination. My wife loves to read, and so I never know where she is. She might be in the bedroom or the kitchen, but reading a book, but she's got her nose in the book, and she's using her imagination to put herself in the story, wherever the story takes place. So I always say, I never know where my wife is. She might be in Florida, or she might be in Antarctica, or who knows where she is when she's involved in reading a book. When I was a boy, I used to imagine when I was riding in the back of the car, I'd look out the window and imagine I was riding a pony, and that pony would dodge trees and jump over ditches and swim through water and do whatever it came across as the car was going along. And Indians would attack me, and I'd have to outrun them. And I always thought I'd write a story about the pony, but I never did. As I got a little older, I thought, it's a lot of running for a pony. He would probably be very, very tired by the time I got to the end of the book or wherever it was we were going. So, as you know, if you've been on here before, I have to flip you around so you can read the book or you can see the pictures while I read the book to you. So grab onto something, whether it's the floor, the carpet, or the sides of your chair. I'm going to flip you around, and I'll tell you, I'm in a very squeaky chair today, and I have to get up and make sure that we've got the camera set so you can see the book. So you may hear some squeaking and some screeching as my chair complains as I try to move it around, all right? So hang on tight. Here we go. Let's see, we want to get it good and close so you can see the book and all the pictures. All right? I hope that looks okay. The book is called Never in the Classroom, and it's written and illustrated by Mrs. Ball's class, St. Benedict Academy, 2019 to 2020. Never in the Classroom by Mrs. Ball's second graders. Dedicated to our teachers, families, and friends who always support us. And the authors have signed the book: Sophia, George, Sebastian, Kaylin, Claire, Isaac, Eddie, and my good friend Olivia, who loaned us this book so we could read it to you. So it looked like we got a young fella here who's asleep, and he's thinking of to borrow a school, meeting his new teacher, and he's a little bit unhappy about it, as you can tell. Now, the book got ripped at some point, so it looks like Olivia added a little part here. You ripped the book. That's maybe why the little boy is sad, too. So here's our story. It was the night before the first day of second grade. The first grade teacher had been a horrible, no good, very bad teacher. So all of the students were nervous about their new teacher. They waited in the hallways and clung to their moms and dads. Please don't make us go, they cried. When they walked in the doors of their classroom, to their surprise, was a sweet young lady who had a big friendly smile on her face. Welcome to second grade, she said. My name is Miss Daisy. She gave them all a high five and a big squeeze. Maybe this year it wouldn't be so bad after all. Where do we put our backpacks? The children asked. You keep them right on your backs, Miss Daisy replied. We are going on a field trip. On the first day of school, they asked. Every day is a field trip day in second grade. The bus is already waiting outside, so the children lined up all in a row and took their seats on the bus. So where are we going? Asked Michael. To the zoo in Australia. Before we knew it, we were pulling up to the airport. A day later, we arrived at the zoo. We got to ride in a kangaroo's pouch, swim with the sharks, swim with the crocodiles, and climb trees with the koala bears. Doesn't look like he's very comfortable riding on the alligator, does it? We heard all about the continent of Australia and the animals that live there. It was the greatest day of our lives. So, looks like I got to have a kangaroo here, and maybe a platypus. But also, this bird up here looks like a kookaburra, which is one of my favorite birds. So, I wanted you to hear what a kookaburra sounds like. You ever heard a kookaburra? Kind of a crazy, noisy guy, isn't he? Okay, thank you. You can be quiet now. Oh, hello. I should be quiet now. Oh, I should be quiet now. Be quiet now. Hey, stop. 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 Wow. These birds are crazy, huh? We learned all about the continent of Australia and the animals that live there. It was the greatest day of our lives. When we got back to the school, we ate kangaroo lollipops while we waited for dismissal. We could not wait to go back to school the next morning. All the kids were pumped for school. Where are we going today? Asked Kitey. Today we're going climbing, said Miss Daisy. Once again, we were at the airport. What are we climbing at the airport? Asked Mark. You'll see soon enough, Miss Daisy replied. It was getting dark. None of us knew where we were. Miss Daisy led us on a long walk from the airport. That's when we all saw a gigantic structure standing right in front of us. Welcome to the Eiffel Tower, Miss Daisy shouted. We're going to climb that, yelled Timothy. Well, how else do we get to the top, said Miss Daisy. Before we knew it, we were being strapped with buckles and harnesses. Up and away, called Miss Daisy. We learned all about math, how famous buildings were constructed. It was the best day of our lives. The next morning, we were bursting with excitement. We headed off in the usual bus, not knowing where we would end up. We arrived at a giant building, and before we were allowed inside, we had to put on snorkels, fins, and an air tank. We were at the Boston Aquarium. Today, you will be underwater explorers, said Miss Daisy. We hopped in the tanks and swam down. We got to steer a submarine, feed dolphins, ride the sea turtles, hug the stingrays, and ride the water on the whale's blowhole. We learned all about the different oceans and ocean animals. It was the greatest day of our lives. Every day, Miss Daisy took us to different places. We went to Santa's Village, Storyland, pumpkin patches, apple orchards, explored caves and mountains, and traveled the desert. Second grade was turning out to be the best. The months passed so quickly, and before we knew it, we only had 2 days left of school. When we got to the school, instead of having a school bus waiting for us, there was a rocket ship in the parking lot. Buckle up, yelled the pilot. 3, 2, 1, blast off. Whoa! Soon we were floating in outer space. We passed the Milky Way in the sun and traveled through the black hole. Finally, we landed on the moon. We were the first group of children to make footprints on the moon. We learned all about the planets and the solar system. It was the greatest day of our lives. It was the last day of school, which meant our last field trip of the year. When we arrived at the school, we could not believe our eyes. Waiting outside the school was our very own airplane. The school parking lot had been turned into a runway. We were instructed to put on some safety gear, and we boarded the plane. We watched out the windows as the plane rose higher and higher and higher above the clouds. Then, all of a sudden, Miss Daisy opened the door of the airplane. The wind hit us in the face, and she told us we were going to jump. Skydiving? One by one, we jumped out with our parachutes. As we floated back down to Earth, we landed in California. We learned all about the clouds, heights, and airplanes. It was by far the greatest school year of our lives. We wished we could stay in second grade forever. The end. Miss Ball wrote, "Dear second grade superstars, I'm so proud of all your hard work. Your writing and illustrations are fabulous. Keep chasing your dreams. Always dream big and soar high. And remember, I believe in you. Love, Miss Ball. November 4th, 2019. This says, meet the authors. So let me see if I can get this where you can see the picture here of the authors. I don't know how well this will show up, but this is Mrs. Ball. This is Eddie. And this is my friend Olivia, Isaac, and Kaylin. And on the bottom row is Sebastian and Claire, Sophia, and George. And those are the authors of this book who did the story and the illustrations. And we appreciate it. Never in the Classroom, a great story full of imagination. All right, I hope you enjoyed it. Well, as always, let me know if you like the book, and maybe we'll make arrangements to get you another book sometime. But I hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. And thank you to Olivia for allowing us to read her book on our Reading Wednesday on our YouTube channel. Again, as always, I love you. God loves you.